The blue and pink balloons swayed gently against the ceiling of our backyard tent, casting playful shadows on the faces of our loved ones. Everyone was smiling. Everyone except Nathan. I caught his eye across the room, trying to decipher the storm brewing behind his usually warm gaze. He looked away quickly, checking his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. Something was off. I brushed it aside, attributing his distance to work stress or perhaps the same nerves I felt about becoming parents. "Are you ready?" My sister Eliza squeezed my hand, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "It's almost time." The countdown began. Our friends and family chanted in unison, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The oversized black balloon floated toward me. According to tradition, popping it would release either pink or blue confetti, revealing our baby's gender to the world. Nathan should have been beside me, sharing this moment. Instead, he stood apart, clutching a manila envelope I hadn't noticed before. I reached for the pin, my hands trembling slightly. "Wait." Nathan's voice cut through the excited chatter. The tent fell silent. He stepped forward, extending the envelope toward me. "I think you should open this first." The confusion on my face must have been apparent as I accepted the envelope. The weight of dozens of curious stares pressed against my skin. I slid my finger under the seal, unaware that I was about to shatter into a million pieces in front of everyone we knew. The words blurred on the page, but the heading stood crystal clear. Petition for dissolution of marriage. "What is this?" I whispered, though I knew exactly what it was. "I'm sorry, Olivia," Nathan said, his voice steady but detached. "I can't do this anymore." The black balloon still hovered beside me, its secret now insignificant in the face of my collapsing world. 6 months earlier, Nathan, "Come feel this." I called from our bed where I lay with my shirt pulled up over my still flat stomach. Nathan poked his head through the bathroom door, toothbrush hanging from his mouth. "The baby's kicking already? Isn't it the size of a lima bean?" I laughed. "No, you idiot. I'm just excited. Come here." He rinsed and joined me, his warm hand covering my belly. Those days, his touch still felt like home. We'd been married for 4 years, together for 7. Nathan Pierce was my college sweetheart, the boy who'd walked me home after a party and spent the entire night talking about constellations and his dreams of becoming an architect. "What do you think about starting a nursery in the spare room?" I asked, interlacing my fingers with his. Nathan hesitated, almost imperceptibly. "Isn't it a bit early for that?" "You're only 8 weeks along." "I know, but I've been waiting for this my whole life. I'd never hidden how badly I wanted to be a mother." Nathan had always said he wanted children too, though never with the same fervor I possessed. "Let's wait until after the first trimester at least," he suggested. "To be safe," I nodded, reasonable as always. That was one of the things I loved about Nathan. His practicality balanced my impulsiveness. We were the perfect team, or so I thought. The following weeks brought subtle shifts I initially dismissed. Nathan started working late more frequently. Our conversations grew shorter, more perfunctory. When we did talk about the baby, his responses seemed rehearsed, lacking genuine enthusiasm. "Do you think it's a boy or a girl?" I asked one night over dinner. Takeout again, because I was too nauseated to cook. "Hmm?" Nathan glanced up from his phone. "Oh, I don't know." "Either is fine." "You must have a preference," I pressed. He set down his phone. "Honestly, Liv, I'm just hoping for healthy." A reasonable answer. So why did it feel like he was evading something deeper? My pregnancy had coincided with Nathan landing a major architectural project for his firm, designing a new community arts center downtown. I told myself his distance was just stress and overwork. I pushed down the worry, the needling sense that something fundamental had changed between us. By week 16, I couldn't ignore the signs anymore. One evening, I found Nathan in his home office, staring blankly at his laptop screen. "Hey, I was thinking we could go shopping this weekend. Start looking at cribs, maybe?" I leaned against the doorframe, one hand resting on my slightly rounded belly. Nathan didn't turn around. "I'm sorry, Liv. I have to work." "You've been working every weekend for a month. This project is important." More important than our baby? The words came out sharper than intended. He finally spun his chair to face me. That's not fair. What's not fair is feeling like I'm going through this pregnancy alone. Tears welled in my eyes. Damn hormones. What's going on with you, Nathan? And don't say nothing or work, because I know it's more than that. He ran a hand through his dark hair, a gesture I'd once found endearing. Now it just signaled his frustration. I'm just adjusting. This is a big change. For both of us, I reminded him. But we're in it together, right? Right. His smile didn't reach his eyes. That night I woke to find his side of the bed empty. Through our bedroom window, I spotted him sitting on the porch swing, illuminated by moonlight. His head was in his hands. I almost went to him, but something held me back. Fear, perhaps, of what he might confess if I pushed too hard. The following week brought my regular checkup. Nathan had attended every appointment so far, but this time he texted an hour before. Can't make it. Emergency meeting with clients. Sorry. Dr. Rivera noticed his absence immediately. No dad today? Work emergency, I explained, the excuse sounding hollow even to my own ears. She nodded sympathetically. It happens. Ready to hear the heartbeat? The rapid whoosh-whoosh filled the room and tears sprang to my eyes. I recorded it on my phone to play for Nathan later, though a part of me wondered if he'd even want to hear it. Everything looks perfect, Dr. Rivera said. And if you want, we could schedule your anatomy scan in about 3 weeks. That's when we can usually determine the gender if you're interested. I hesitated. Nathan and I hadn't discussed whether we wanted to know the baby's gender before birth. Another conversation we should have had but somehow never did. I'll think about it, I replied. That evening, I played the heartbeat recording for Nathan. His reaction seemed forced, performative even. That's great, Liv, he said, barely looking up from his dinner. Dr. Rivera mentioned we could find out the gender in a few weeks. What do you think? Whatever you want. No, Nathan. Not whatever I want. What do we want? This is your baby too, though you've been acting like it's some abstract concept rather than a human being we created together. He set down his fork. I'm sorry I'm not as excited as you are. I'm trying. Are you? I challenged. Because it seems like you're doing everything possible to distance yourself from me and this pregnancy. That's not true. Then tell me what's going on. Talk to me, Nathan, please. He was silent for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, he spoke, his voice so quiet I had to strain to hear it. I'm scared, Liv. The admission caught me off guard. Nathan, always confident and composed, admitting fear? Of what? I asked, softening. Of everything changing. Of failing as a father. Of not being enough. He looked up, vulnerability etched across his features. My dad wasn't exactly father of the year, you know that. I moved to sit beside him, taking his hand. You're not your father, Nathan. How do you know I won't become him? What if it's in my blood? What if— Stop, I interrupted. You are the kindest, most patient man I know. You'll be an amazing father. For a moment, the Nathan I knew returned, squeezing my hand and kissing my forehead. I hope you're right. That night, we fell asleep wrapped around each other for the first time in weeks. I thought we'd turned a corner. How naive I was. The next day, scrolling through my phone during lunch, I found a gender reveal party invitation template that made me smile. Maybe this was what we needed, something concrete to celebrate together, to make the baby feel real for Nathan. I texted him, "What do you think about having a gender reveal party? Nothing too extravagant, just family and close friends?" His response took hours. "If that's what you want." I sighed, frustrated by his continued detachment. Still, I decided to move forward with the party. If Nathan wouldn't embrace this pregnancy willingly, perhaps the excitement of our loved ones would prove contagious. Over the following weeks, I threw myself into planning the gender reveal, scheduled for just after my 20-week anatomy scan. My sister Eliza helped, though she occasionally shot me concerned glances when I mentioned Nathan's continued distance. "Have you two considered counseling?" she asked one evening as we addressed invitations. "For what?" I responded defensively. Eliza gave me a pointed look. Liv, you're practically planning this entire baby journey alone. That's not how it's supposed to work. He's just stressed about work, I insisted, though the excuse sounded feeble even to my own ears. If you say so. She didn't push further, but her doubt lingered in the air between us. The day of my anatomy scan arrived. To my surprise, Nathan came with me, though he remained silent during the drive to the hospital. In the dimly lit ultrasound room, our baby appeared on the screen. No longer a blob, but a perfectly formed tiny human. 10 fingers, 10 toes, a strong spine, and a healthy heart. Would you like to know the gender? The technician asked. I looked at Nathan, who nodded almost imperceptibly. Yes, but could you write it down? We're having a reveal party, I explained. Of course. She smiled, printing a photo and sealing it in an envelope. Congratulations, your baby looks perfect. Outside in the parking lot, I clutched the envelope. Should I give this to Eliza? She's coordinating the reveal. Sure, Nathan replied, distracted again. Are you okay? You've barely said anything. He reached for my hand, a gesture that once would have comforted me but now felt like an obligation. I'm fine. Just thinking about a project deadline. I swallowed my disappointment. The party's this Saturday. Your parents are flying in tomorrow, remember? Right. Saturday. He nodded, starting the car. I'll be there. As we drove home, I studied his profile, the strong jaw I used to trace with my fingers, the slight furrow between his brows that deepened when he was troubled. I'd memorized every angle of his face during our years together. Now, looking at him felt like gazing at a familiar landscape that had been subtly altered by a natural disaster. Recognizable, but fundamentally changed. I handed the envelope to Eliza that evening, relieved to delegate at least one part of this experience. She promised to arrange everything for the big reveal on Saturday. Blue or pink cupcakes inside a giant black balloon, she explained. When you pop it, the cupcakes will fall out and everyone will know. Perfect, I said, hugging her. Thank you for making this special. As Saturday approached, my excitement grew, though it was tinged with anxiety about Nathan's increasing withdrawal. He barely spoke during dinner with his parents Friday night, and I found myself compensating with excessive chatter. His mother, Eleanor, cornered me in the kitchen while I made coffee. Is everything all right between you two? Of course, I lied. Nathan's just swamped with this new project. Eleanor didn't look convinced, but didn't press further. Well, we're thrilled about becoming grandparents. Regardless, I smiled, grateful for her enthusiasm even as I worried about her son's lack thereof. Saturday morning dawned bright and clear, perfect weather for our backyard party. I woke early, unable to sleep with anticipation, and found Nathan's side of the bed empty. A note on his pillow read, "Went for a run. Back soon." He returned as I was setting up tables, sweaty and distant. I'll shower and help you finish, he promised. But after his shower, he disappeared into his office, emerging only when the first guests arrived. I shot him a questioning look, which he avoided, plastering on a smile for our friends that didn't quite reach his eyes. The party progressed with all the traditional elements: silly games predicting the baby's gender, food with boy or girl labels, guests wearing either blue or pink to vote on their guess. Throughout it all, Nathan performed the role of excited father-to-be with wooden precision. Only I could see the emptiness behind his smiles. As the moment for the big reveal approached, Eliza brought out the oversized black balloon. My heart raced with genuine excitement. In just moments, we would know whether our baby was a boy or a girl. Nathan should have been beside me, sharing this culmination of weeks of anticipation. Instead, he disappeared inside the house while everyone gathered around me. "Where's Nathan?" my mother asked. "Probably grabbing something," I replied, though unease crawled up my spine. "He'll be back in a second." Eliza started organizing everyone. "Countdown in 1 minute." That's when Nathan reappeared, his face set in grim determination, clutching that manila envelope that would change everything. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The words hung in the air like toxic smoke, Around me, expressions transformed from excitement to shock, disbelief, and pity. My mother gasped. Eliza stepped toward me protectively. Nathan's father muttered, "Jesus Christ, son." My fingers trembled as I looked up from the papers. "You're divorcing me? Now? Here?" The absurdity of the moment struck me with physical force. "At our baby's gender reveal party?" Nathan's face remained impassive. "I didn't want to do it this way, Olivia." "Then why are you?" My voice cracked. "Why would you humiliate me in front of everyone we love?" "Because you left me no choice. You've been pushing forward with all of this." He gestured wildly at the decorations, the balloon still hovering beside me. "Without considering what I want. What I've been trying to tell you for months. And what's that exactly?" Hot tears spilled down my cheeks. He took a deep breath. "I don't want this baby." I never did. The collective intake of breath from our audience was audible. My hand instinctively moved to protect my belly, as if shielding our child from his words. "You said you wanted children," I whispered. "Someday. Maybe. Not now. Not like this." His voice hardened. "But you decided for both of us." "That's not true. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing it either." "You were there, Nathan. This was an us decision, was it?" His eyes flashed. "Because I remember telling you I wasn't ready. I remember saying we should wait. But you were so excited, so convinced it was meant to be. And before I could process anything, you were planning nurseries and baby showers and gender reveals." Each word struck like a physical blow. Had I really not listened? Had I steamrolled over his hesitations in my eagerness to become a mother? "Why didn't you say something?" I asked. I tried. God, Olivia, I tried. But every time I expressed any doubt, you made me feel like a monster. He ran his hands through his hair, agitated now. So I tried to get on board. I really did. But I can't pretend anymore. I won't be trapped in a life I never chose. Trapped? The word pierced through my shock. "Our child is a trap to you?" Nathan seemed to suddenly remember we had an audience. His eyes darted around the tent, taking in the horrified faces of our friends and family. "I think we should discuss this privately." "No." Anger surged through me, hot and clarifying. "You chose to do this publicly. You chose to humiliate me in front of everyone. Now you can explain yourself in front of everyone. Olivia, is there someone else?" The question escaped before I could stop it. It was the only explanation that made sense. His distance, his sudden certainty, his hesitation told me everything. "Who is she?" My voice had gone deadly quiet. Nathan glanced at his feet. "It doesn't matter. It matters to me." I hurled the divorce papers at him, pages fluttering to the ground between us. "Who is she? How long? Was she warming your bed while I was throwing up every morning?" "Don't be dramatic." "Dramatic?" I laughed bitterly. "You hand me divorce papers at our baby's gender reveal, tell me you never wanted our child, admit to having an affair, and I'm being dramatic?" My sister stepped forward, placing a protective arm around my shoulders. "I think you should leave, Nathan." "This is my house," he countered. "Not anymore." I straightened my spine, finding strength in my fury. "Not after this? You can sleep wherever you've been spending your nights lately. I'll be here with our baby. Olivia, be reasonable. Get out." I screamed, the force of it making him step back. "Get out before I say something I'll regret." Nathan looked around the tent once more, perhaps seeking an ally, but found none. Even his parents wore expressions of disgusted shock. Whatever sympathy he might have garnered with his trapped narrative had evaporated with the revelation of infidelity. He turned without another word and walked toward the house. The silence he left behind was deafening. I became acutely aware of the black balloon still floating beside me, its purpose now forgotten. In a sudden surge of reckless anger, I grabbed the pin from the table and jabbed it into the balloon's surface. It burst with a startling pop, releasing its contents. Pink cupcakes tumbled to the ground, some smashing on impact. A few guests made reflexive sounds of excitement before remembering the circumstances. "It's a girl," I whispered, as the first sob broke free from my chest. The aftermath of the gender reveal disaster was a blur of concerned faces and hushed conversations. My mother and Eliza guided me inside while others quietly dismantled the party outside. Nathan was nowhere to be seen, though his car was gone from the driveway. I sat at the kitchen island, staring at nothing, vaguely aware of my sister making calls and my mother brewing tea I wouldn't drink. "We should pack some of your things," Eliza suggested gently. "You can stay with me until you figure this out." No. The word came out stronger than I expected. "This is my home. I'm not leaving." "Honey, are you sure that's wise?" My mother exchanged a worried glance with Eliza. "You shouldn't be alone right now." "I'm not alone." I placed my hand on my belly. "She's with me." Later that evening, after everyone had gone except Eliza, who insisted on staying the night, I found myself in what was to be the nursery. We'd painted it a soft sage green the weekend before, a neutral color that would work for any gender. Now I knew I'd be decorating it for a daughter. Alone. I sank to the floor in the empty room, finally allowing the full weight of the day to crash over me. Sobs racked my body as I curled into myself, one hand still protecting my belly. "I'm sorry, little one," I whispered between gasps. "I'm so sorry," I cried until I had nothing left, until my throat was raw and my eyes swollen. Then, with an exhaustion so profound it felt like gravity had intensified, I dragged myself to our bedroom. Nathan's things were still there, his books stacked on the nightstand, his robe hanging on the back of the door, his scent lingering on his pillow. I grabbed the pillow and hurled it across the room, watching with grim satisfaction as it knocked his framed architecture diploma from the wall. The glass shattered on impact, a satisfying crash that matched my broken heart. 3 days passed without word from Nathan. I moved through them like a ghost, barely eating, sleeping fitfully when exhaustion claimed me. Eliza stayed, fielding calls and messages, keeping well-meaning visitors at bay. On the 4th day, my phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. "It's Nathan." "My new number. We need to talk about arrangements." "I'll have my lawyer contact yours." The impersonal tone, the assumption I'd already have a lawyer, it all felt like a fresh slap. I typed and deleted a dozen responses before settling on, "Fine, but I want to meet face-to-face first. You owe me that much." His response came quickly. "When and where?" "Our home, tomorrow." 7 p.m., a longer pause this time. Then, "Okay," Eliza protested when I told her. "You don't have to see him, Liv. Let the lawyers handle everything. There are things I need to say to him. Things a lawyer can't say for me." The next evening, I prepared for Nathan's arrival with the same focused determination I'd once reserved for big court cases before I'd stepped back from my legal career to prepare for motherhood. I showered, applied light makeup to hide the shadows under my eyes, and chose an outfit that showcased my growing bump without appearing to flaunt it. "Want me to stay?" Eliza asked as 7 o'clock approached. "No, this needs to be between us." I hugged her. "But thank you for everything." She squeezed me tight. "Call me the second he leaves." "Promise?" "Promise." At precisely 7, the doorbell rang. Nathan had never rung our doorbell before, a small but profound indication of how much had changed. I opened the door to find him looking almost as rough as I felt. His usual neat appearance had deteriorated. Stubble darkened his jaw, and shadows ringed his eyes. "Come in." I stepped aside, noting how he hesitated before entering his former home. We settled in the living room, an awkward distance between us on the sectional sofa we'd picked out together 2 years ago, arguing playfully about leather versus fabric. "How are you?" he asked, the question so absurd I nearly laughed. "How do you think I am, Nathan?" He nodded, accepting the rebuke. "I deserve that." "You deserve a lot worse." I studied him, searching for traces of the man I'd married. "How long?" "What?" "The affair. How long has it been going on?" He shifted uncomfortably. 3 months, the timeline slotted into place. "So around when I told you I was pregnant." "It wasn't because of the pregnancy," he insisted. "Wasn't it?" "The timing suggests otherwise," Nathan sighed, running a hand through his unkempt hair. "It's complicated." "Then uncomplicate it for me." I leaned forward. I deserve to understand what happened to us. He was quiet for so long, I thought he might refuse. When he finally spoke, his voice was low, almost confessional. I panicked. When you told me you were pregnant, I felt trapped, like my future was being decided without my input. And I know that's not fair, he added quickly, seeing my expression harden. I know it takes two, but I wasn't ready, Olivia. I tried to tell you that. In hints and vague comments, I countered. Never directly, because I saw how happy you were. I didn't want to take that away from you. So instead, you found comfort with someone else? The bitterness in my voice was palpable. Nathan looked away. Allie understood. She's at the firm, one of the junior architects. We were working late on the community center project, and I found myself telling her everything I couldn't tell you. And then you found yourself in her bed? The crude bluntness made him wince. It wasn't like that, not at first. It was emotional before it was physical. As if that makes it better. I laughed hollowly. So you confided in her about feeling trapped by your pregnant wife and she sympathized? How generous of her. I'm not defending what I did, Olivia. It was wrong. Yet you're leaving me for her. I'm not leaving you for Allie, he said, surprising me. I'm leaving because our marriage was built on a fundamental incompatibility that we've been ignoring for years. What incompatibility? I demanded. We wanted the same things. A home, careers, eventually a family. But not at the same time, and not with the same priority. Nathan leaned forward, his eyes meeting mine directly for the first time. You've always put family first. I put career first. We both knew that about each other. But we thought it would work because we loved each other. I still love you, I admitted, hating the vulnerability in my voice. I know. His expression softened, and part of me will always love you. But love isn't enough when you want different lives. So your solution is to abandon your child? To walk away from your responsibility? I'll support her financially, of course, he said quickly. I'm not a monster, Olivia, aren't you? The words were sharp as knives. You're planning to be what exactly? A birthday and Christmas father? A child support payment? She deserves better. What do you want from me? Frustration edged his tone. I'm being honest with you now. I don't want to be a father. Not now, maybe not ever. Would you rather I pretended? Would you rather I stayed and grew to resent both of you? I want you to be the man I thought I married. My voice rose. The man who takes responsibility for his actions. The man who wouldn't destroy a family before it even has a chance to exist. I'm sorry I'm not that man. His voice was quiet, defeated. We sat in tense silence, the magnitude of what we'd lost hanging between us. I'll move my things out this weekend, Nathan finally said. You can stay in the house until after the baby comes. We can figure out more permanent arrangements then. How considerate. My tone dripped with sarcasm. And your girlfriend? Will she be helping you pack? He flinched. Allie and I are taking some space right now. She didn't know about the divorce papers. She thought I was going to talk to you privately. Well, it seems we both misjudged you. I stood, signaling the end of our conversation. Get your things on Saturday. I won't be here. Nathan rose slowly. For what it's worth, I am sorry for how I did it. The reveal party? That was cruel. I just felt cornered. You always had a choice, Nathan. Every step of the way. You chose the most hurtful path possible. I moved toward the door, one hand resting protectively on my bump. Our daughter will know that too someday. That when things got difficult, her father chose to walk away. Olivia, goodbye, Nathan. I opened the front door, refusing to meet his eyes again. My lawyer will contact yours next week. He hesitated on the threshold. Take care of yourself, and her. I will. Better than you ever could. After he left, I locked the door and leaned against it, sliding down until I sat on the floor. But this time, no tears came. In their place was a strange, calm resolve. For the first time since that terrible day, I felt something like strength stirring within me. It's just you and me now, little one, I whispered to my daughter. But we're going to be okay. Better than okay. The promise felt real, solid in a way nothing had since Nathan handed me those papers. Whatever came next, I would face it, not just for myself, but for the daughter who deserved a mother who could stand on her own. 6 months later, Madeline Eleanor Wright. "You have your mother's temper," I murmured, pacing the nursery at 3 a.m. with my fussing 2-month-old daughter, "and your father's stubborn streak." It was the only time I allowed myself to mention Nathan to her, in these quiet night hours when it was just the two of us, and the words could disappear into darkness. Madeline's tiny fist waved in protest as I gently rocked her. I know. Life is terribly unfair when you're hungry." I settled into the rocking chair to nurse her, watching as her angry grimace softened into contentment. These moments made the exhaustion, the loneliness, the struggle all worthwhile. My daughter's face, with my eyes and Nathan's chin, peaceful in the soft glow of the nightlight. The month since Nathan's departure had been a crash course in rebuilding. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks before Madeline's birth. Nathan hadn't contested anything, agreeing to my terms with a swiftness that both relieved and wounded me. He waived his right to custody but would pay child support and contribute to a college fund. His only request was the option to establish a relationship with his daughter when appropriate. My lawyer advised accepting. I did, though I doubted he'd ever exercise that option. He hadn't come to the hospital when Madeline was born. I hadn't expected him to, yet his absence still carved a hollow space in what should have been a purely joyful moment. His mother Eleanor had come, though, a surprise visit that left me in tears of gratitude. "She's beautiful, Olivia," Eleanor had whispered, cradling her granddaughter. "He's a fool. Does he know that she's here?" Eleanor nodded. I told him. He sent flowers, I believe. The impersonal bouquet had arrived later that day, the card signed simply, Nathan. No congratulations, no acknowledgement that the recipient was his daughter. I'd donated them to the nurse's station. Now, as Madeline drifted back to sleep in my arms, I marveled at how much my life had transformed in half a year. I'd returned to practicing law, accepting a position at a smaller firm that offered flexible hours for new parents. Our house, my house now, had been refinanced in my name alone. My mother had moved in temporarily to help with Madeline while I adjusted to working motherhood, her presence filling some of the emptiness Nathan left behind. Most surprisingly, I'd found strength in places I never thought to look, in Eliza's unwavering support, in colleagues who rallied around me, in the mother's group I'd reluctantly joined at my therapist's suggestion. Being abandoned at my lowest moment had forced me to build a community I might never have sought otherwise. I placed the sleeping Madeline in her crib, my fingers lingering on her soft cheek. "Sweet dreams, little warrior." The nickname had come to me in the delivery room, this tiny being who had weathered the storm of her parents' broken marriage before she'd even drawn breath. She was a fighter, like her mother. She would need to be. Morning came too quickly, sunshine streaming through the nursery blinds I'd forgotten to close. Madeline miraculously still slept. I showered quickly and dressed for the office, grateful it was only a half day. My mother appeared in the kitchen as I made coffee, already dressed to take over baby duty. "You look better," she observed, accepting the mug I offered. "Almost human," I smiled. She gave me a solid 3-hour stretch. "I'm counting it as a win. Any plans this weekend?" "Brunch with the mom group tomorrow. Otherwise, just the usual glamorous routine of spit up and lullabies." My mother hesitated, her expression shifting to something more serious. "Nathan called me yesterday." The mug paused halfway to my lips. "Why?" "He wants to see Madeline." She watched my reaction carefully. "He asked if I would help arrange something." A year ago, this news would have sent me spiraling. Now I felt only a dull ache beneath my practiced composure. Why now? "It's been 2 months. I set my coffee down. "And why call you instead of me?" "He said he was afraid you'd refuse outright," she sighed. "And would you blame him? After everything?" "No, I wouldn't," I admitted. "What did you tell him?" "That it was your decision, not mine. But—" She hesitated. "I think you should consider it, Olivia. For Madeline's sake." He abandoned us, Mom. He didn't want her. People change. Seeing a baby in the abstract is different from knowing she exists in the world. She squeezed my hand. I'm not saying forgive him. I'm saying consider what's best for your daughter in the long run. I pulled away, gathering my briefcase and keys. I'll think about it. The question followed me throughout my workday. What was best for Madeline? My wounded pride said protecting her from a father who might flake again at any moment. My more rational mind acknowledged that even a flawed father was better than none at all, as long as I managed expectations. That evening, after my mother had gone to bed, I sat on the porch swing, the same one where I'd seen Nathan sitting with his head in his hands all those months ago. The spring air was warm, scented with the jasmine I'd planted when we first bought the house. I took out my phone and typed a message to his new number, saved but never used. My mother says you want to see Madeline. His response came within minutes. Yes, if you'll allow it. Why now? A longer pause. Then, I've been in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd like a chance to know my daughter. I considered his words, trying to detect any manipulation or insincerity. Finding none, I replied, "How do I know you won't disappear again when it gets difficult?" "You don't, I don't either. But I'm trying to be better. For her. And for myself, the honesty surprised me. I expected excuses or promises, not this raw acknowledgement of uncertainty. Saturday, I finally typed. 2 p.m. You can come to the house. 1 hour, thank you, Olivia. I mean it. I didn't respond further, unsure what else to say. The prospect of seeing Nathan again awakened a tangle of emotions I'd worked hard to suppress. Anger, hurt, lingering affection, and, most dangerously, the faintest flicker of what might have been hope. I extinguished it quickly. Whatever happened Saturday was about Madeline, not us. There was no us anymore. Saturday arrived with an unnerving sense of déjà vu. Me, nervous in my own home, awaiting Nathan's arrival. I dressed Madeline in a simple onesie, resisting the urge to put her in something special. This wasn't a performance. My mother had tactfully made plans elsewhere, leaving us to this reunion without an audience. At precisely 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. Nathan's punctuality, at least, remained unchanged. I opened the door to find him looking more like his old self, clean-shaven, neatly dressed, though visibly nervous. He clutched a small gift bag in one hand. "Thank you for this," he said softly. I nodded, stepping aside to let him in. Madeline was awake in her bouncer in the living room, gurgling contentedly at the ceiling mobile. Nathan froze at the sight of her, his expression a complex mixture of wonder and regret. "She's so small." "She's actually quite big for 8 weeks," I replied, the maternal pride slipping out before I could stop it. Above the 90th percentile, he approached slowly, kneeling beside the bouncer. "Hello, Madeline," he whispered. I'm your dad." The words hung in the air, their weight palpable. For a moment, I saw not the man who had betrayed and abandoned me, but a father meeting his daughter for the first time. Terrified, amazed, uncertain. "Would you like to hold her?" I found myself offering. Nathan looked up, surprised. "Can I?" I nodded, lifting Madeline from her bouncer and placing her carefully in his arms, showing him how to support her head. His hands trembled slightly. "She has your eyes," he said, studying her face, "and your chin." The observation escaped before I could censor it. For a few minutes, we existed in a strange parallel universe, almost like the family we might have been, had everything been different. Nathan asked questions about Madeline's routine, her preferences, her milestones. I answered mechanically at first, then with increasing animation as maternal pride overcame my guardedness. "She's already trying to hold her head up," I told him. "The pediatrician says she's advanced." "Of course she is," Nathan said, a gentle smile forming. "She's your daughter." The compliment caught me off guard. "She's yours too." His eyes met mine, remorse evident. "I know. I should have been here." "Yes, you should have." "I wouldn't give him absolution, not yet. Maybe not ever." After Madeline began to fuss, I took her for a feeding, leaving Nathan alone in the living room. When I returned, he had placed the gift bag on the coffee table and sat waiting, his posture tense. "I brought something," he said, gesturing to the bag. "For Madeline. And something for you too, if you'll accept it." I settled beside him, Madeline now calm against my shoulder. "What is it?" "Open it." Inside the bag, I found a small stuffed elephant. Nothing extravagant, but soft and high quality. "Elephants are matriarchal," Nathan explained. "The females lead the family." It seemed appropriate. Beneath the toy was an envelope. I looked at him questioningly. "It's a letter," he said, explaining everything. Why I left, what I was thinking, my regrets. Not excuses, just truth. "I thought you deserved that at least. You can read it now or later or never. It's your choice." I set the envelope aside. "Thank you. I'll read it eventually." We lapsed into silence again, the ticking of the clock marking our limited time together. Finally, Nathan spoke, his voice steady but vulnerable. "I'd like to be part of her life, Olivia. Not just financially, but really present. I know I have no right to ask after what I did, but I'm asking anyway. For her sake. How do I know you won't bail when it gets hard?" "Because it gets hard, Nathan. There are sleepless nights and endless crying and moments when you question every life choice you've ever made. I don't know if I can prove it to you," he admitted. "Except by showing up day after day. I'm willing to start small, supervised visits, whatever makes you comfortable. I don't want to make the same mistake twice." "And Allie?" I couldn't help asking. "What does she think about you playing daddy on weekends?" "We're not together anymore." His answer surprised me. That ended months ago. It wasn't real, just an escape from what I wasn't ready to face. I absorbed this information, unsure how to feel about it. "I'm not ready to forgive you, Nathan. I'm not sure I ever will be. I'm not asking for forgiveness." He looked directly at me, his gaze clearer and more present than it had been in our last days together. "I'm asking for a chance to be Madeline's father. Nothing more." I studied him, searching for the weakness, the wavering, the signs he would flee again at the first difficulty. Instead, I saw something I hadn't expected: resolve, and perhaps the first authentic accountability I'd seen from him since this all began. "We'll start with 1 hour, every Saturday," I finally said. "Here where she's comfortable. If that goes well for a month, we can discuss more." Relief washed over his features. "Thank you, Olivia. I won't let her down again." "See that you don't." My tone softened as Madeline cooed against my shoulder. "Because next time, there won't be another chance." As our hour drew to a close, Nathan reluctantly stood to leave. He gently touched Madeline's head in farewell, his finger tracing the curve of her cheek. "Goodbye, little one. I'll see you next week." At the door, he paused. "I know this doesn't fix anything between us. I know that bridge is burned. But I want you to know you're doing an amazing job with her. You're the mother I always knew you'd be." The compliment landed somewhere between healing and hurting. "Goodbye, Nathan." After he left, I found myself back on the porch swing, Madeline sleeping peacefully against my chest. The envelope sat unopened in my lap, Nathan's truths waiting inside. I would read it, but not today. Today was for processing what had just happened, for recalibrating my vision of the future once again. 6 months ago, I'd stood in a tent full of pink and blue decorations as my life imploded. I'd thought then that Nathan had destroyed everything, our marriage, our family, our future. In many ways, he had. But in the ruins, I'd built something new, a different life than the one I'd planned, but perhaps a stronger one. I looked down at my daughter, her perfect face relaxed in sleep. Whatever happened with Nathan, whether he followed through on his promises or not, we would be okay. I had discovered a resilience I never knew I possessed, a capacity to endure and rebuild that no one, not even Nathan, could take away. The path forward wasn't clear yet. There would be complicated co-parenting negotiations, emotional landmines, and difficult conversations in our future. But for the first time since that gender reveal party, I felt ready for whatever came next. "Your story didn't start the way I planned, little warrior," I whispered to Madeline. "But it's still going to be beautiful. I promise." The porch swing rocked gently as the afternoon sun bathed us in golden light, mother and daughter facing an uncertain but hopeful future together.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.